Happening, everybody? Welcome back. This episode, we're about to talk about growth. We are made to grow, right?
We are made to grow, so we have something to give.
Something to give. Now, elaborate on what you think that means to you.
So, what I want to grow on, so basically, I want to expand my consciousness to where it's like I'm on such a different vibrational pattern with the thought process and thinking about all different perspectives, so I can sit down with a one-sided person, very very limited to their abstract thinking, and just show them different perspectives of a situation, and not stop there, but reach all different types of people and kind of make people think about their thoughts and
in a different way.
Yeah. So, that's
kind of cool.
If I had to boil it down, it would be that.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I would start off by saying, firstly, and I got this idea from Jordan Peterson, one of my favorite dudes, so please go check him out. He will change your life. But ideas are like tools, right? Like, we use ideas to kind of help us move forward in different ways, or change directions when we need to, or think about something in a different way. So I think in my personal growth, a lot of that is just me just accumulating these different tools that I can use to better navigate myself through the world. Mm-hmm. Just going off the word navigate, you wouldn't, in ancient times, you wouldn't try to sail across the Atlantic if you didn't have a compass or your telescope or whatever you need to get across. It wouldn't be practical. So I think in order to go through life, you do definitely need to have a certain set of knowledge just about life in general. You need to know, and a lot of people just know this inherently, but you need to be aware of things like moderation, obviously, so you don't drink yourself to death.
Discipline.
Yeah, balance. That's a fundamental idea that everyone needs to employ, or you'll just die.
For real.
Yeah, just accumulating ideas and learning how to better just get through the world with
and spreading those ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think once I get to a certain age, probably in my 30s or 40s, once I get there and I'm much more established in my own life, I'll have all these tools and I'll be in a much better position to give them back to the people who are our age now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really is everything in life is cyclical. So when you're growing up, you're trying to absorb all the ideas of the older generation, and then you finally grow up, you get to that age, and then it's almost your responsibility or obligation to pass them down to the next generation that's coming up.
Yeah,
and,
it really is.
And it's not those exact, but it's a different world, so it's not those exact same ideas are going to be what they use to get ahead, but
you're gonna have to mold them.
Exactly. They need to take the ideas and put them into their own lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I think of growth when I think of it, is taking all these ideas that I learned from dudes like Jordan Peterson and thinking about, okay, so how is this applicable in my own life, to get me ahead, and other people too.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I definitely think that growth is something that is almost mandatory, because I feel
definitely.
I feel like if you're not growing, you're just wasting potential. Mm-hmm. Because every single day there's so many opportunities to grow. There's so many things to learn from every day, because there's so much time in a day, even though it flies by. There's so many minutes that we don't use. I obviously we need time to ourselves, but I don't think you need any more than 3 hours to yourself a day, other than when you wake up in the morning, you don't check your phone for an hour, that's time to yourself. Before you go to bed, no phone for 2 hours, that's time for yourself. That's 3 hours. So you have 8 hours of sleep, and then you have 8 hours of work or improving, so there's 16 hours taken up, and then you still have 8 hours. 8 hours of what? And a lot of people's screen time is 8 hours.
Yeah. So dude, it's sickly, bro.
So it's fucked. Mine, when I'm down in Miami, is fucked, because it's the only thing that keeps me in touch with people, though. So
it is your business too.
I'm definitely, when I go down there after this, I'm gonna do a 75-day hard. I'm gonna because last week was I just wasted a bunch of fucking time because I didn't feel good. So I'm definitely gonna go full force next week and stop wasting time, because time is the most precious fucking thing on the planet. Even though only 20 years old, 19, 21, like, if we can understand that, like, we have a fuck ton of time, but treat it like we don't have much at all, I feel like that's how you get, like, insane success rates.
Yeah. Kind of just to kind of go off that, me and Ty had a really great conversation, like, a couple of days ago, and we were talking a little bit about time, and I got this idea from Vsauce, and it's like, when you're sitting in a room and you're not doing anything, and you're, like, experiencing every second, like, really vividly, and you're really, like, time feels like it's going by so slow. Like, if you've ever sat in detention and you didn't have your phone and you weren't allowed to do anything, you just had to sit with your hands on the desk and look forward. Like, it's excruciating how slow it passes. But then once you get out of that and you look back at it, and it feels like it went by in a blink of an eye. Like,
It's so crazy.
it's so weird.
Like, thinking, like, back to summer. Like, summer of this year. Mm-hmm. Like, how highly anticipated it was because of the lockdown. Everyone's like, well, when the fuck is summer coming? And then it came, and now it's February.
Like, where the fuck did it go?
Yeah, it's literally February.
Yeah.
It's literally February.
Just like that, bro.
Like
I have it in my hand right now.
Like, this moment, like, this very moment right now is, like, in, like, 3 days, I'll be back in Miami, and then I'll just be like, damn, like, I'm already fucking back? Like, what the fuck? And that's
exactly.
That's some perspective, bro.
Yeah.
It really is.
And it just goes to show you that you really need to soak up every single present moment that you have. It's good to be back.
I definitely think, like, I mean, kind of going off that, it is really important. Like, I think, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this with, like, grounding exercise and mindfulness, but just taking a second to just, like, even just a couple minutes to do nothing and just
breathe.
Feel
Dude,
time.
You and I were just talking about that.
Just feel the time pass. And be like, well, I mean, just feel it. Like, I don't know. It's
just
so weird.
Think about the time passing and absorb it. Just reflect and appreciate it.
Yeah. Imagine, like, how the Mayans didn't really have time, you know, because they didn't really. I feel like they didn't.
They had a calendar, but they weren't
as, like,
distracted.
Yeah. We like revolve around time. I feel like they had time revolve around them. Like, they would do shit.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way to say it.
And, like, whenever they were done, they were done. Like,
I feel like it was a much simpler world back then.
It was.
That'd be so nice.
It was harder in a lot of ways. I think our lives nowadays are super easy, but they're very complicated at the same time.
Yeah, it's so fucking complex, you know, like, because back then they really didn't have much. Like, you had to eat, you had to get your water, and you had to reproduce, and, like, that was literally life. That was literally life.
But if you boil our lives down to it,
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but we add all these things to it.
So many more distractions.
Yeah.
I wanted to state this quote earlier, but the conversation was too good. To go back to the ideas of, like, spreading knowledge or whatever it is that you maybe want to put out into the world. Another great Terrence McKenna quote. You are an explorer, and you represent our species. And the greatest good you can do is to bring back a new idea, because our world is endangered by the absence of good ideas. Our world is in a crisis because of the absence of consciousness.
Yeah.
So just people going through the motions and not being
so
consciously aware of everything around them and the small roles that they play that connect to the greater picture.
Dude, everyone's a part of they're a piece of the puzzle, bro. And, like, a lot of the people don't realize that. They're just kind of coasting through life. They're going to work. They work for someone else. They come home. They watch Netflix. Repeat. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really, like, I can think of a few people right now that literally just have total hatred for, like, the earth. And I feel like if you viewed life as, like, a representative of the whole species, like, you are here to, like, help the
That's an L.
That's an L. Help the earth, like, develop a consciousness and expand. Like, I feel like you who is this man?
This dude Trent.
Come on, Trent, if you're watching, come on.
Yeah, to kind of go off that, I think another thing that that I find valuable is just, I think it's important to be skeptical. I think it's important to like not blindly follow things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
It's very
I mean,
true.
but you can like criticize yourself out of existence. Like, it's
Yeah,
like, what are we
literally.
doing here? One person in like 8 billion just
I
on
mean-
a floating rock through space.
Yes.
If you put it like that, your life sounds meaningless. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
by the same token, you have to have a little bit of that so you don't end up doing things that like you definitely shouldn't be doing. You've got to like, I don't know, like you always say this, Ty. It's like a balance. Like you have to be skeptical enough so that you're not doing anything blindly, but you do have to like play that game in a sense, but also while retaining like being yourself too while you go through it.
Yeah, I'll be
Absolutely.
scrolling through TikTok and like there will be a video that says like we're doing all this just to die, and like I'm like damn.
That is such a pessimistic
I'm
view,
like
bro.
damn, but like
I mean, at the end of the day, I could see how that could be
but
true.
the amount of things
but
that
that's
had to have happened in like just perfectly for you to exist like just totally debunks like you being meaningless. You know what I mean? Like if your parents met maybe like a day later, like you wouldn't be born. Like if your parents like and if their parents met like a day later, like
Dude,
everything
yes.
had to be perfect.
I was just listening to a video earlier, and it threw the idea out that the Earth has a consciousness. So think about it. We are just some advanced apes that are conscious.
Very advanced.
98% of our genetics are correlated with our distant relative, the chimp. Okay? Our 2% are there's a couple features and our consciousness. If an animal like a fucking monkey develops a consciousness, I mean, if something so simple like that, like us, have consciousness, then wouldn't it make sense to have something else, something greater, something that we don't even know, that's more divine, having a greater consciousness?
Oh, yeah.
It's just a thought. It's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
proven, but it's
yeah,
a thought.
yeah.
And I think the potential
Yeah, I mean,
is greater than we could imagine.
there's no way that we're like the smartest species. There's just no way, or organism, or fucking
Right.
thing. Like there's just no way.
I know.
There's
with
no
everything
way.
that's out there, all the galaxies and
Have you
the
seen those videos?
multiverse, the cosmos.
The videos of it, like, it'll be like an astronaut, and then like the shuttle, and then like the space station, and then it'll be a planet, and then a bigger planet, and then like
Then they get to the sun, and then they go like
yeah, and then it's
100
just
times
like
bigger than that. Yeah.
and then it's just like what the fuck, and then people will be like, here's why I don't do my homework anymore, and then it'll just be that video. I'll be like, I hear you, dude. Like, there's
Yeah.
just no fucking reason. Like, you're not on this floating rock in the middle of fucking space to
It's
do
the
your-
Western civilization and
wild,
the
bro.
materialistic world that keeps you driving away from, kind of expanding that consciousness
And, like, inner peace
spiritual
almost.
aspects as well.
Yeah, almost like inner peace.
Yeah.
Because like, why the
Inner
fuck?
peace.
Like, dude, it's just I have so many questions like that. I don't know who can answer. You know, like why are we going to school doing algebra? I mean, obviously, like, math is kind of cool because it's like we discovered math. Like we didn't just make it up. Like
And math is everything around us.
yeah. But like the curriculum could be so much betterly organized.
Yeah, it could
Like,
be geared towards like an actual interest
like-
instead of just, here, I'm gonna slap you with
Like-
that trig.
Like everyone
Freak
is
out.
so different, so like why don't you just specify like learning for each person? I know that'd be really hard, but like it's so possible. Like there's so many like by now, like if someone's into art, like all right, here you do the art shit. That's you. Like you do the art shit. Or if you're into like history art, you do the history shit. Like, you're into motivational speaking, here just do this shit. Like there's so many like
Gear your life towards that way.
if you want to be an engineer, do this shit. Like it's.
That's certainly a possibility, but I
It
I
just
can't.
ma-
I
it-
unfortunately
I feel
can't
like-
see that happening.
I feel like
Me
people
neither,
are like people. I feel like that's definitely like exactly what you just pointed out, Alex. There's a huge hole like in the public education market right now for something like that, because the things we're saying, like everyone who's gone through the system like knows this, like that the way it's set up. Like I mean, everyone knows that like the public school system started to train factory workers. Like that's not a mystery. That's common knowledge. Like. And it's still the same way that it used to be. Like, there's a huge hole for individualized education. And I think sometime soon, probably when COVID dies down a little bit, there's going to be someone that comes along with a brilliant idea that completely changes the way public education works. Like, it's coming. I know for a fact it is.
Dude,
I
can see
people
it
are going to
coming.
become like billionaires off that specific niche in the market. That's my prediction.
I really hope something like that happens because there needs to be reform and change that has to happen.
It's
for our society.
so
Might
long
be us.
overdue.
Might
So
be
long
us.
overdue.
Might be us. It's just because the Rockefellers created the curriculum to make workers. Like, have you ever heard about that?
And now this video is desensitized.
Ah,
No, I'm
can't mention
kidding.
Rockefeller. Can't mention that name.
They have a hand in everything. You know, the top of the spectrum, all the wealth is just pumping money into different things that they want. You know, they control it all.
They control the banks. The banks.
The president is just a figure, man. Everything else is moving
He's
his
a
little
puppet.
mouth and moving his little hands.
Yeah. Demonetized.
I maybe shouldn't have said that, but food for thought.
Yeah.
Play with that idea.
Yeah.
Definitely food for thought, but yeah, it's just definitely everything that you need to learn in order to live the life you want to learn is on the internet for free. Like,
True.
you just have to look, or in a
True.
book,
True.
and you just have to read.
Can definitely get behind that.
Yeah, I mean, like there's just like nothing that you can't do, you know, for free. Like, 40 grand on a college education to be an entrepreneur. Like, why don't you just be an entrepreneur? Like,
Yeah, dude, my dad would. As soon as I mentioned stop going to school,
Uh-huh.
you know, not pursuing nursing anymore, he's like, okay, we'll go into business then. No, hell no!
like,
I'm
you
done
want
with
me to
school,
piss this
bro.
money away?
It's not even that. It's just my time. I could be gathering all the insight myself and not
yeah.
learning bullshit like finance. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why do I need to go to school to learn? I can learn all this
you're
shit.
pissing off a ton of people right now. But go
Oh,
on.
I'm sorry. You could find all this information anywhere.
You really
any
can.
elsewhere.
You really can. I mean, like,
College education
read.
gives you the piece of paper to get into your job. It gives you credibility. That's what it does.
that's really
It's
what
the
it is.
credibility.
Mhm.
It really is, man.
Mhm.
Like all the information's out there.
But nowadays, you just don't really. You can work for yourself. Like, you can do whatever.
It's manageable.
If you don't want to work for yourself, then go to college. Yeah.
No, you're just pissing off.
But no, like,
Yeah, we're pissing off so
we are
many
pissing
people.
off a lot of people.
apologize if you're offended, but I mean,
Don't
if you're
be offended.
that means you should just
Don't take things
double
personally.
think. Definitely don't think anything personally.
Don't.
We're not attacking you. It's just
No.
kind of.
Everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah, off the information that we've gathered, this is what our conclusion comes out to.
Yeah, and none of us have college degrees, so
Yeah.
none
I
of
dropped
us.
out 2 months in, so
And I am 2 years in, and I'm about done.
about done.
We'll see though. You
we
can never say never.
we will see how that statement ages, Ty, here in a couple months. But I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited for what you
bro.
both got. Well, for both of you guys got going
And
on.
you,
And
all
you,
three
yeah.
of us,
Totally.
Psychology,
and everyone
totally.
who's watching this. Like
What?
our generation, I want to see some big things out of us.
Yeah,
We're
and
gonna be
it's coming.
faced
It's
with
coming.
some
adversity.
coming.
major
Adversity.
Someone from our generation is going to reform the school system.
I believe it.
Speaking it into existence.
All right.
That being
that's
said,
a great
Yeah,
end right there.
That is a great place to
All
catch
right.
it.
Hopefully next time won't be too far away from now, but
Let's just knock another one out after this.
Cha-ching.
I don't know. All right. Yep.
Stay woke.
Stay woke, boys. Peace out.